Automation, Automation Nation, Automation, Automation Nation, Automation, Automation Nation, around the nation, Automation, Automation Nation, Automation, Automation Nation, Automation, Automation Nation. Around the nation, around the nation, around the nation. Welcome to the Automation Nation podcast, the show for business leaders, tech aficionados, and those who are just simply curious about where technology and business are going. Automation Nation is your gateway to understanding automation, AI, and the future of business. Don't get left behind. Tune in now and subscribe for more. Welcome to the Automation Nation podcast, everyone. We are back again for another fantastic conversation, an automation conversation. I got my guest, Mr. Joe Easton, rent manager at Beyond Rent Podcast. He is the host of Beyond Rent Podcast, and he is helping people understand technology. Property managers, listen up, okay? People, the time has come. I mean, we are in an era where if you can just get behind and understand technology, the things you can do in business, Joe, it is just absolutely incredible. And my guest today, Joe, I'm gonna read a little bit of his LinkedIn bio here. In all aspects of my life, working hard and serving others has led to my success. It often does. My professional background, talking about Joe, that is, in the management of relationships, people, projects, products, and marketing. In each role, I have kept a focus on serving others and driving business forward. Through this, I've exceeded expectations, improved operations, and customer experience. Joe, welcome to the Automation Nation podcast, my friend, and I'm really excited to hear about how you have been successful and maybe some breadcrumbs you can leave for others to find their way.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rob. I'm really excited about this.
Well, listen, I'm excited every week because I get to have these conversations, and one, because I get to learn myself. Two, other people get to learn and grow. And three, possibly from this learning and growth, they can stay in business longer. Joe, before we kick this off, we ask all our guests because we're powered by Simply Automate, right? So we have this one simple question: if you could simply automate one thing in your personal life, what would that be?
Oh, my personal life. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a great question because we're all busy, right? We always like to brag about how busy we are, but it's true. So if I could automate anything in my life, it would be all of those little things that you have to schedule to get done, from oil changes to doctor's visits to follow up with your dentist, things like that, things that tend to really not get done on time. You push them back, you reschedule them because you have other things going on. So I would love to automate those pieces of my life so I can actually enjoy the other elements.
Ah, very common answer. Very common answer there. Common theme. So, Joe, why don't you share with everyone, what inspired you to do the work you do? Because this is a wonderful field, and you are definitely impacting lots of lives. What inspired you?
Yeah, so a little bit of my background. Like most people, we have a number of different jobs over our life. I'm really, really happy where I'm at. Really, I would say fortunate to work for the company I work for. And what got me here was really, I would say, a history of discovery of what makes sense and what people need help with. And what really inspired me to work for the company in the product rent manager was I love the idea of software. I always wanted to work in software. And I really like the idea of software that helps drive something that is important to all of our lives. So when we think about all the different pieces of our lives and what's most important, housing is really, really one of the main factors that people strive to have a good place to live. So to me, that made a lot of sense. It's software that's helping solve housing. And how more foundational is that, right? We all need good places to live. So that was one of the, I would say, turning points where I thought, you know what, this product, this company, they're doing the right things, and I'd love to be a part of it.
That's good. That's good. It's solving problems. And yeah, that housing thing, if we can find a way to enhance that and make it more suitable for folks, that is definitely the route. When it comes to integration and automation, let's talk about that. Why is it important, and why should folks have automation? Because AI and automation, these conversations have been coming up more lately, but people don't really know why it's so important. Maybe you can share with folks, like, what is the urgency, what is the level of importance from your experience?
Yeah, and these two elements, integration and automation, they're connected, but in many ways you can talk about them separately as well. So if we look at the housing industry and how property management works, it's like a lot of industries. It was a little late to the game with technology, but we're catching up fast, and there's a lot of technology out there. So when I think about how a company operates, especially in our industry, there's all types of different pieces of software that they may choose to use. There's software like ours, which we call property management software. They're managing their residents and their finances in there with their accounting, maybe their maintenance and reporting and leasing is all in kind of one place. But there's all these other pieces of software that help empower them to be more efficient, provide a better experience for the resident, things like that. And they may choose to use other pieces of software, but that software isn't as powerful as it could be if it weren't for integration. And what I mean by that is when two software programs can talk together, you get efficiency, but you also get more value out of it. When that data can flow back and forth and keep things in sync, your teams can actually focus on what matters most to the business, what matters most to the resident. So that really is kind of like the integration piece of it. And we see a lot of that in our industry. Really, integration has kind of taken a front seat over the past 5 to 10 years, as a lot of people have decided that they want to use more technology in our space, but they want to use it. They want to use it in ways that's really scalable, that's really powerful for them. And so it needs to be integrated, right? All of these different pieces need to talk to each other to make sure that their teams can focus on what's most important, that they're not spending too much time doing data entry, that there's not a lot of, human error comes in big when you lack integration. So integration is really, really important. But without the automation piece, right, that's the other component. So you'll hear a lot of people in our industry kind of talk about them separately, right? Oh, we need to integrate our software programs. And then you'll hear other people that are like, well, we're really focused on automation this year. But a lot of times you want to take a step back and actually start asking yourself questions, why either of those matter, and why those matter and how you can empower yourself to be the most effective is understanding your actual processes that are driving those. And I'm sure that comes up a lot on your podcast, right? That the automation is only as good as the process was to begin with. So when you think, automation doesn't actually solve anything if you didn't figure out what the process needs to be in the first place. So a lot of times it's good to kind of rewind and connect and talk about the actual process and how that's driving the business, and how process then leads to automation. And when you have automation in place, then you can really start to think about how your software programs can integrate together. So it's almost like a waterfall effect in some ways of building the blocks, but you have to start at the beginning. You have to start with that process.
Got to start with that. I like that. You get the people, the process, and the technology. Make sure the people are good, the culture, they understand what's going on, the expectations, the deliverables, process, like you just mentioned. Make sure the process is cool, it's standardized, it's understood, it's fluid, and then the technology, because you don't want to automate a bad process. That's like automating a bad habit. You don't want to do that, right?
Well, exactly. And a lot of people they'll jump in and they'll get excited about automation, especially in most industries. People are out there networking, they're talking, and somebody will mention like, well, I automated maybe service issues or maybe a leasing process. And they'll talk about how much they gained from automating that process, and it'll get other people excited about it and they'll want to do the same. But what they might be missing is that company, that other operator really spent a lot of time figuring out their process. And you mentioned people, and they let people work through that process first. and they really ironed out all the details. How is this process going to work? How can we be more efficient? Can we remove waste through this process? And once that process was really good, a lot of times that's when you actually start turning the automation piece on, once you know what you're actually doing.
That's it. That's it. Once you actually know what you're doing, that sounds legit. Well, what does the future look like in property management? Like, what do you think the future of technology in property management looks like?
Yeah, there's been a lot of growth in property management technology, oftentimes referred to as prop tech.
Prop tech.
There's a lot of new companies popping up. There's a lot of new ideas on how we can use technology. And so when I think about the future, it's really what we're talking about here today is this combination of automation, integration, and different software programs working together more efficiently. And that's really what I spend a lot of my time on here at Rent Manager, is trying to understand what's out there, how it fits in with what we're doing, how we can integrate them together to make sure it's a better experience. So I think we're going to see a lot of that continue to grow. And what I think we'll see as well is people in the industry really getting more specific about what they actually need. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of options right now, and it's almost overwhelming when you look at all the different ways that you could use technology. I mean, we see it in our personal lives, right? There's so many choices out there. Which one is right? What's the right next step for your company? And so it's overwhelming. So I think in the future, we're going to see property management companies get really specific about how they want to operate. And here's the key, is they're going to want to operate in ways that are different than their competitors. And they'll need technology that supports that. They'll need technology that is customizable, flexible, and that does play well with other pieces of technology. Because at the end of the day, yes, industries, we all play nice and we play fair with each other, but a lot of them are competing against each other out there, right? Property management companies are competing for residents. They're maybe even competing to work with different investors. And so to be the best that they can be, they need their technology to be up to date, streamlined, but also unique, because they have to operate in unique ways.
Right. That's good. I'm glad you used that last word, unique. Everything's customized to that particular that company and their objectives. And so let's talk about some challenges, because that can be a challenge when you don't, right? Well, what are some of the common challenges you see, property managers facing when implementing automation in some of these integration tools?
Yeah, it's a little bit of what I said earlier. It's maybe getting too far ahead of themselves when they're thinking about how all these pieces work together. So I would actually say one of the biggest challenges is going too fast too soon. Instead, slow down. Think about who you are. What are your objectives? Again, you're not going to want to operate the same way as everyone else in the market. So how are your tools and how are your technology providers enabling you to create unique processes along the way? So one of the biggest challenges, like I said, is going too fast. The other one is not thinking about how they all work together. And we kind of went through this with our smartphones a few years back, and I'm sure you remember all of the commercials that there's an app for that, right? This whole idea that there's millions of apps out there and there's an app for every little thing that you do. Well, our industry is kind of facing that right now, where there's a lot of different apps for the resident to use or for the property manager to use, but you don't want to overwhelm people and tell them they have to use 10 different apps on their phone to rent an apartment from you. So I think we have to think about how that fits together. And then the last challenge is just trying to prioritize. How do you prioritize technology? And because there are so many choices, there's a lot of, I would say, hype around smart technology, right? Again, in your personal life, you hear about this too. Getting Alexa in your home and having a Ring doorbell and smart locks and smart cameras. The apartment industry, the property management industry is really no different. A lot of the same conversations are happening out there, and it can be easy to think that that's going to be the next greatest thing. But you also have to understand your audience. Who is your client? Who's renting? Are they looking for that type of technology? And are they willing to pay for it? Because there's a cost to everything. So don't get too far ahead of yourself thinking that you need to adopt everything right now, because much of what the resident is looking for is perceived value in what you're offering. And that can be a whole wide range depending on who that actual client is.
So don't try to be a jack of all trades and be a master of none. I heard someone say before.
It's true. And we see that in our industry where they're like, hey, I'm going to implement everything that I can find and use all these new technologies. And I would say, like, think, what is your ideal customer? What are they looking for? And if you're maybe a class A, which would be like a luxury style apartment, maybe smart home technology is a good fit because these people are willing to pay for it. They're looking for cutting edge. They're looking for something that has a little more polish to it. That might be perfect for your clientele. But you kind of have to really think through that, not assume that just because there's a lot of talk that you have to take action.
Yeah. Joe, share. Can you share a success story of someone you've helped and or where you've seen automation have a significant improvement in someone's property management operations? Because there's so many things that automation can do and support. But let's maybe specify a couple particular ones.
Yeah, there's a few key ones that I can dive into and talk about. And I'll start with the actual like leasing process. And I don't know if you've ever rented somewhere, but a lot of times the first step to renting, once you have interest, is actually going and seeing the property, right? You want to go in, you want to see what it looks like, whether it's a single family home or maybe like a traditional multifamily apartment. You want to go see what it looks like. And historically, that means calling up scheduling with somebody. What are you available? When are they available? They may not want to be there at night because they want to work 9 to 5, whatever it may look like. But there's a whole scheduling process. And then someone showed you through the property. Well, now that really isn't necessary. Through scheduling tools and what they call showing automation, they can allow a prospective resident to actually schedule that on their own. And through smart locks, gain access to the property on their own with a leasing agent not being there. This gives that applicant the opportunity to view it in the evening, maybe when they're not working. They can view it when it fits their schedule best, and they can be more comfortable walking through the space and envisioning living there than maybe feeling pressure by having somebody kind of watching them. So that's a really interesting one that's hit the our industry over the past, and again, this isn't necessarily new technology, but a lot of people aren't using this yet, right? This is probably 5 or so years that it's really been available and popular, but I would still say the vast majority are not leveraging technology like that. So I think that's a great way to use technology and automation together and let the applicant kind of steer their own ship when it comes to that process.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Let's get another one. I like that.
Yeah. Another one that a lot of people won't think about when they think about property management, and that would be utilities. So when you think about where you live, there's all types of different utilities, and one of them is water, right? We've got sinks and restrooms and showers and things like that use water. And when you're renting, a lot of times the resident is responsible for paying that water bill, and that's pretty common. In the past, a lot of the math behind how much was charged was just an average of all the residents. Well, there's the ability to actually go in and install what they call sub-meters, so they can actually charge each resident their own usage. And that's not new. That's been around for a long time. What is starting to come around and be more popular and more available is technology that allows minute by minute monitoring of that water usage. What that means is, as a property management company, you can now see who's using water and when they're using it. And the point is that you can understand if anything goes wrong. So let's envision that, Rob, you've got some rental properties out there and a leak happens in one of the units. And the person that's in that unit just happens to be on vacation. Well, no one's going to find out that the leak is happening maybe until it starts leaking into another unit or until that resident returns. Well, through technology and automation, you can receive an alert that shows that the usage has spiked. And based on their algorithm, they know that it's most likely a leak. It isn't somebody just running the water. It isn't somebody that's doing something with the water that would be normal use. They understand normal use, and they can alert you to alert the resident that there may be a leak, saving damage, time, all types of different issues.
Whoa. This is the clip here. Definitely going to use this as a clip. That is phenomenal. To have that kind of insight. I mean, just think about the damage and the cost savings and my goodness. I mean, the efficiency. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and once it's in place, you really don't have to think about these things, right? You get automated reports or notifications based on usage, but it's a set it and forget it, which is a lot of what automation is. You want to be able to set it up and not have to think twice about
Yep. Set and forget. You
it.
said
Set
it.
it and forget. Yep.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And let's talk about some cost savings. Well, there that right there would save you some a little bit of chunk change if you can stop a leak before it becomes a flood. Hello. Let's talk about how automation can really impact cost savings when it comes to property management.
Yeah, there's a lot. And when I think about cost savings, there's a lot of different, I guess, buckets you could think about that or different categories. One of them that we hear a lot from our customers is they're trying to scale their business, right? They're trying to grow, just like everyone is out there trying to grow their business. And historically, to grow your business, you'd have to hire more people. And you'd hire more people, then you can grow your business. And then you go back, you make changes, hire more people, and grow it further. And you'd kind of have these plateaus. And a lot of it was based on the human capital side of your business, right? The number of employees that you have. Well, when you're automating, you really kind of get the cheat code to grow your business faster. And I'm not saying we don't need people, because we absolutely need people, but you're able to scale your business faster with less people, meaning that you can continue to scale the business and then you kind of backfill people as you need to, because technology is taking care of so much for you. Not only does it save you in labor costs, which is really, really important for the health of a business. It's one of the ways we stay in business is making sure that our labor costs stay low, but it also allows you to leverage the people you have for higher value tasks along the way. So you're saving all those costs of hiring people and having lots of people on staff. And then when you do hire people, you can actually hire the right person for the right fit to do the right job. So I think that's a huge cost savings. And then a big one, I think that people overlook sometimes, is just the amount of errors that you can prevent. You can prevent missing out on something that you should have charged for. For example, we should be automating things like late fees or utility charges. We should have all of those things automated to make sure that everything gets charged at the right time so you can receive the revenue that you are expecting to receive. An error like that, who knows what it could cost you?
Right.
So there's all types of, so those are, I would say, two really good examples of cost savings.
That's good. That's really good. Really good. Really good. And when it comes to like our teams, Joe, like making sure that our teams are trained adequately and comfortably with these new, because this is new for everyone. And in order for us to really be effective, everyone has to be on the same page. So maybe give us some insight on how we can help all teams be aligned adequately so that we can deliver these things nicely.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think about a lot here. One of the things when it comes to getting people comfortable is getting their buy-in, right? You have to really kind of manage the change within your organization and make sure people understand what you're trying to change and why. One of the first things that comes up when you start talking to somebody about automating and or even using integrations a lot of times is they start to worry about their own job security. So it's really great to talk to the team, go through the processes you have, and start asking them, well, if you didn't have to do these 4 steps, how could we use your time differently for the business? And I can almost guarantee they're going to have really, really great ideas on how they could better use their time for higher value, more impactful work. So make sure that they understand we're not trying to automate you out of a job. We're trying to automate the business to grow faster and give the employees more opportunity. I think that's one of the first things that you have to do. And then the other one is really tied into integration, because if you can help them see how the automation fits in to their current workflow, how an integrated new piece of software ties into things that they already understand and are comfortable with, that starts to build I would say the confidence. It's the building blocks of making sure that they understand what the company's really trying to do and how it'll impact their everyday. Because we spend a lot of time at work, so we want to be comfortable and confident in what we do.
Oh my goodness, yes. That's it right there. Making sure the people are aligned, making sure the people are aligned, and they also understand that this is not to take your job, but it's to actually make your job easier, right? To allow you to become. And we talk a lot about this as well, because automation is the big bad wolf. AI is coming to take everyone's jobs. But what people don't realize is that, there's a study out that says for every job that AI takes or automation takes or technology takes, there's like, I think it's like 2.9 jobs created, and it's going up. Just think about all the new jobs and new opportunities that are now here that weren't here 5-10 years ago. So again, like you said, it's about having people understand like the technology is here to help you to do better, to take the monotonous work away, and so that you can bring more value to your work and have more value provided, period. And then, as you said, the integration piece. I like that. You went back to that again. It's super important for everyone to understand what the objective is, how we're doing it, why we are doing this. Because once people have an understanding, then they can also give feedback. People don't give feedback when they don't understand. As a matter of fact, they get back. They don't give feedback, they go back.
No, that's very true. I really love that. If they don't understand, they won't give feedback. So if you're ever asking for feedback and they're not giving it, a lot of times they say is re-explain what it is. Go back over the details, because people should have questions, right? They really should have input on how to make it better. And if they truly understand, they will.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Joe, we got our second simply question of the day. So if you could simply automate one thing in your business life, a wave of a wand, click of the heels, a wiggle of the nose, what would it be?
Oh wow, that one might be harder than even the personal life question, because there are so many moving pieces, and I would say if I could automate anything, it would be the communication piece. And communication is key. That's why humans are so important to business, but that's also why there's so many struggles in business, right? Because we're not always really good at communicating. But if I could automate communication to get the right message to the right people, the right time, without me having to think about it, and keep all of these people updated, I think that would be huge, because everyone would feel informed, they'd feel engaged. Like you said, they would understand and be able to provide feedback, and I would be able to not worry that I didn't tell the right person the right thing at the right time.
That's good. That's good. I second that one. I second that. All right, Joe, we're coming in for a landing here. Let's give us your best piece of business advice. Oh, it's always the best piece of business advice, or your favorite quote of yours that you made up.
Well, I'm going to go with a business advice, and I'm actually going to go back to some of the comments you've made about AI and being a negative thing. And one of the things I talk about a lot when I refer to AI is think back to the, I guess, late 90s, early 2000s in the internet. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in the 90s and went to high school in the 90s. And the internet was a place you couldn't go for information. It wasn't reliable. And if we look at where we're at right now, that script has completely flipped. The internet is everything to us. And I look at AI in a very similar way. And when it comes to business advice, what I would warn people about is don't be afraid of AI, like so many companies were afraid of the internet back in the early 2000s. The ones that embraced it are the ones that grew. And I think we need to be embracing it and learning as much as we can right now, and realize it is a tool. It is not here to replace our jobs, but we will be using it in just about everything we do going forward. Anymore, like there used to be internet-based companies or internet tools, things like that. We don't use those phrases anymore because the internet is used in everything we do. AI will be the same. For a while, we're going to hear, oh, this is AI powered or AI enabled or whatever. I think a decade from now, AI will just be an element of how we actually conduct business. It won't be anything that's, again, scary or going to take all of our jobs. So learn about it, start using it. If you don't use ChatGPT and items like that, really become comfortable with it, because it's not going away. And the ones that embrace it, I think, will see the biggest gains in the near future.
Well said. Well said. It's not going away, folks. It's here to stay. The internet was new at one time, and it is no longer new. But the internet is, look at what the internet did. Like the internet is comparable to the light bulb. And what I've been told and what I've heard from my experts, the people that I follow, is that this new wave of AI, it's the light bulb, it's fire, it's every technology that we've ever discovered, and it's multiplied. And this is because of our ability to be able to do more. Now, the downside is if you don't get on board, it's almost like you can ride the wave and surf it, or you just get smashed by it. And so we want everyone to, we want surfers, folks. We want you to surf. Joe wants you to surf. We want you guys. I'm not sure if you know about the Beach Boys, but we want you to surf. Okay, we want you guys to surf. We want you to win in business. Joe, how can people get in contact with you and find you? Your information, of course, everyone's going to be in the description. You'll find Joe's. If you're listening on a podcast, go into the description of the body. You'll find it. If you're watching this live, just scroll down and you will see it. Joe's information. But Joe, why don't you could just share with folks how they can reach you and maybe also about share anything you want about your podcast when it's airing and just how folks can get connected with you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Rob. So LinkedIn is always the best way to connect. If you want to go to LinkedIn and search for me there. If you want to learn more about Rent Manager, which is property management software, rentmanager.com, you can check out what we do there. And then, of course, Beyond Rent, the podcast, anywhere that you listen to podcasts, we release a new episode every 2 weeks. And again, it's all focused on property management. We talk about a lot of technology. We talk about change management. We talk about AI. We talk about mental health. We'll talk about anything that we think impacts our industry and the people that work in it. We think it's a very important industry and we're happy to support it. And I really appreciate being on. This is a lot of fun. I love talking about technology, automation, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, this has been a great conversation, Joe. And all my listeners, we have a property management automation in property management use case for you can grab that. It's a download, and this is just different ideas that how automation is currently being used in property management. So you can grab that, click on it. It's a free download. Joe, it's been a pleasure. And you know what, guys and gals, there is so much information out here, so much. But information is just information. Somebody said knowledge is power, but it's not. Wisdom is the proper application of the knowledge. So I encourage everyone, as you're listening and you're learning, you start to take action, because that is what will turn the knowledge into wisdom. Joe Easton, thank you for being on the show, my friend.
All right. Thanks again.
All right, everybody. Till next time.
Automation nation, automation nation.